uptick. Good afternoon, everyone. Global warming said it would give us droughts and heat waves. What we're getting is record floods. As I said a few videos ago, look for an uptick right around this time that's going to give us a year's worth of rain in a day. Here we go. Qatar, a full year of rain in a day. Deserts in Jordan flooding. Some of these creek and river basins were 5 kilometers wide. Almost 3 miles was the swell on some of these floods. And into the capital city, Amman, from the desert flows. 500,000 acres of farmland wiped out in Kenya due to floods. Spain, flash floods. Look at the massive amount of water coming down on the roads. Remember, France, also a full month worth of rain in just 6 hours. These snowstorms accompanying the heavy rains, about 5 feet of snow in Italy. And if you want to know the uptick forecast going out for the next 4 years, here it is in front of your eyes. We have just marking the rise into extreme weather. And during these times of uncertainty, you're going to have to start growing some of your own food, being more self-sufficient, self-reliant. You can grow your own sprouts, microgreens, plants, vegetables, herbs. TrueLeafMarket.com, heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on our planet, as well as links to Mini Ice Age Conversations podcast, tri-weekly, where I posted episode number 129, Politics of Divide and Conquer, and how to counteract that message as the media tries to distract you because of all these changes that are happening across our planet with our weather systems and food price rises. And as we progress into this winter with all these record cold temperatures that have swept through the northern and southern hemispheres during what was spring in the southern hemisphere and just beginning of autumn in the northern hemisphere, now they're saying that because of global warming, everything's cooling. So again, they're trying to explain that they told us record heat would be coming and we're getting record cold. They told us there would be droughts everywhere, yet we're getting these events where there's a full year worth of rain in a single day. It would be the end of the snow, but now we have record snow across parts of North America way back in late September. So you almost have to take everything that's been said so far with a grain of salt and look for a different explanation, a different causation. The grand solar minimum would be it, I do believe. Now, in a previous video or two, I've been talking about the uptick in this, specifically 2019 would be the beginning of massive changes that are going to reset our society. The previous floods were 6 months worth of rain in a day, a full month worth of rain in 3 hours. And as stated specifically, if we're on track, there should be an uptick where we're going to see a year's worth of rain in a single day. And as we progress into 2021, you're going to see a decade of rain in a single day in some locations. And here we are, the first instance. Desert state of Qatar, of all places. You would never expect this. A year's worth of rain in a single day in the desert. Now, we've seen a lot of flooding through Oman, Yemen, Saudi Arabia over this last year specifically, and now Qatar stepping up a full level. These floods are unprecedented, and I can't believe they didn't get more news coverage globally. And the images are throughout social media, and this happened last week. So you can take a look at how deep the waters were. Doha. So for those of you in North America, it's almost like this much water will be coming down in Death Valley. But as we progress across the Middle East as well, in a second instance a week later, these floods in Jordan are getting a lot more media attention because the Israeli military is there helping. And it's in a heavily populated area with a lot of news coverage. And take a look at the rainfall totals coming out. Desert areas, again, flash flooding becoming major waterfalls. Helicopter rescues, and you have to understand, the streams that are normally maybe 100 feet across, if it ever does rain in the deserts there, were 3 miles wide during these floods. 5 kilometers is how wide these creeks and valleys. And it's hard to get a gauge because these events were happening overnight and into the sunrise in the morning, but they're now saying that from satellite view, you're able to see the debris field coming out of this heading into the Dead Sea. That's how large of an event was and how much soil and erosion took place. Now, after the floods in the desert, That water rushed into Amman in Jordan, and look at the downtown scenes below. This is how much rain is coming down in the Middle East at the moment. Of course, you're going to get the flash floods through the wadi, or the valleys, the canyons. And also there were buses washed away, cars washed away, people unaccounted for. That's why there's so much rescue effort going on, and there's a lot of resources to devote to this. So of course the media coverage here is going to be far, far, far greater than it was down in Doha. And again, I will quantify this as an atmospheric compression event where they're going to have at least 6 months worth of rain, possibly a year's worth of rain in a second event in the Middle East in a day. This is incredible, the uptick. Now down to Africa and Kenya, again, they got 2 months worth of rain in a single day here, and it ended up flooding out 500,000 acres of crops down there. This is in Jigawa. And then a quote by a climatologist within the article at the very bottom paragraph there talks about this is an area that's prone to desertification. So with this increased rainfall, we have this greening of the Sahel and greening and more rain of northern Africa. Now you'll understand why the Chinese are there. They knew these cycles were coming, and they knew this cycle was going to repeat with more intensity to drop more rainfall. Now Spain and France, they're showing early signs of grand solar minimum intensification in their cold, wind, and especially now rain. France, back about a week and a half ago, had a full month worth of rain in 6 hours. But then Spain, just a few days back, also 2 months worth of rain in several hours. Massive torrential floods. There's a lot of images coming through the cities that were flooded, but this is one of the first images that I've seen of countryside where the actual hillsides just started to create these mud flows. Now over to Italy, rivers are filling, and they're going to be overflowing as well. But look how much water is coming down there. Now, the reason I'm drawing this to your attention is this water at higher elevation in that same exact area has turned into 5 feet of snow. Now in the beginning they had measured it over 100 centimeters. Now those of you in the U.S., 30 centimeters is a foot, but they're expected for another 50 centimeters. So at least 150 centimeters, possibly more. Some forecasts have it at 170 centimeters coming out during this same storm. Now with all that said, there's definitely an amplification in our atmosphere happening. Now this is how fast it's going to continue to ramp up from this point forward. And if you're not aware of what's going on, you really need to start preparing and having a plan B, because all of the weather amplification that you've experienced and seen in the news and everything that's been covered in the last, say, 1.5 to 2 years, that's in the yellow on the left side. And you can see when the magnetic waves on the sun, they call it go out of phase, or they cancel each other. We get these weather changes on our Earth. Because the electromagnetic connection between the sun and our Earth affects our magnetosphere, and that's the thing that holds the jet streams in place. Now these are no longer being locked in their normal pattern, or the flow, or the way the winds move from east to west, north to south. That's completely unwound now. These winds are able to travel wherever they want to. And we are just in the beginning of the amplification, so please take note of this. We're moving from the yellow into the green. Now the wider the wave is, the more intense the weather is going to be on our planet. And I can't reiterate to you, if you look right where the yellow and the green come together, that is exactly the middle of this year, 2018. But you'll notice that the wave really starts to widen into 2019. That's why we're seeing such massive weather upticks right now. Now, if we're moving forward in the forecast, now these changes are significant, and when you think about it, the widening, which is occurring right now, we're not even to the 2019 band yet. That still needs to widen out 3 to 4 times more in intensity of our weather on this planet. If we're getting a year worth of rain, and we're just coming into, let's say, 2019, that is going to double again at least until 2021, the intensity of our weather systems. Now people are still asking, is it going to be a linear? Will it just be 2 years worth of rain in a day? Or will it be something more exponential? 2 times 2 times 2. Because it's going to increase about another 3-fold. So if it is an exponential, we're looking at something like a decade worth of rain in a day. If it's linear, you're going to be looking at something like 2 to 4 years worth of rain in a day. This will also include snowstorms, and in some places, if that were to be the case, you would get an entire winter worth of snow in one single storm. So when I do say you need to have a plan B, you might want to consider how this chart's moving out and what's happening on our planet in terms of weather. Now another chart for you here to show you the forecast moving out. This is all related to the solar activity. So the lower the solar activity goes, it's a direct relationship to how extreme the weather on our planet becomes. And on the bottom, looking at that solar activity going out to 2050, you could see how our society is going to be reset